I thought SKT would be willing to first pick a Renekton, but this tells me they might just be trusting in Faker right now. If there's an Orianna band, as we mentioned earlier, that actually forces... what does that do? That does not force a Gragas ban at all.
That does not force a Gragas ban, no. Gragas will most likely not be picked now because he's mainly used as the counter to Orianna, which RYL has put out.
Yeah. This does mean that Fizz could potentially be available for Whites, because this is probably going to be an Ahri for SK Telecom there.
Zed is up.
Things Faker does.
I will do one prediction now. There will be a KO last pick from RYL, and there's going to be a Lulu support calling it.
Yes, these are things that RYL plays against Zed. We thought, we thought it was going to be if RYL goes down 2 games, they might let Zed through. Because they do play Zed counters. It means that RYL has to find initiation in other parts of their team composition, or just hope that they get it for free. Because, I mean, there's a lot on the line here letting Zed through, but it is definitely a kill thing. I completely agree with the Fishio.
Definitely. Well, let's see now, though, what RYL will go with. Elise has been their favorite jungler all through the tournament. They always pick it when it's open. Now they actually go for Jarvan instead. That might be to take away from Bengi, who had a lot of early game pressure in the last game. Possibly maybe a Caitlyn for AD carry. She's one of the decent AD carries against the Zed, or maybe a Vayne, who can actually also do quite decent against Zed.
Yeah, you're going to need something mobile, that's for damn sure, because I think everybody's seen what Faker can do on this Zed, so it's going to be something that we're going to have to keep our eyes on. A Vayne against it, well, it's another mobile AD carry.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm Faker right now, I'm realizing RYL is adapting to the Zed pick because they threw it out first. It's what they have to expect. Vayne can 1v1 Zed for a fair portion of the game. They're one of the only AD carries that can do that. And if RYL is actually planning to go Lulu later, it means that... if they're planning on going Lulu later, it means that Jarvan gives them the initiation. But as far as SKT goes, they get the top laner once again since Shen and Renekton are down, and I don't think RYL has a realistic answer for this.
It's going to be very interesting to see what they actually will pick for the top lane versus Jack. The Vayne, though, is going to be the key guy in this setup. If they go for the Lulu and the Kayle, they will have so much protection for the Vayne. Zed will not be able to kill Vayne, and Vayne will be able to maybe clean up the entire team fight and therefore carry the game. If they log in this zone, it will surprise me a little bit, but it will give them a stronger 2v2 lane at least.
Well, of course, we do see, once again, the fact that Impact is on that Jax. What sort of answer will they have for that Jax? I mean, we can talk about the Zed, they're going to focus the Zed, but that leaves Jax free.
Yeah, I'm actually not sure what they're going to go with against the Jax. They might maybe go for something like a Nasus, but he's going to have a very hard time in lane. Possibly a Cannon. I'm actually not sure. Oh, a Rumble pick. Okay, that's
He played one Rumble game earlier on in the World Championships and won with it, but I'm still sitting pretty if you're SKT right here. You have the most played support for Mondu in Zyra. If they go for Lee Sin, it is Bengi's 4 out of 5 champion picks in the semifinal. You have things Faker does on Zed, and you have Jax, who, even though it's not an amazing matchup against Rumble, once he gets some farm under a belt, will just obliterate him. So SKT, I feel like, has done exceptionally well so far in this pick and ban.
It's going to be all about the last pick now for RYL, in my opinion. If they go for the Kayle and they manage to get in a perfect ultimate to simply shut down the Zed and his combo, they might be able to win the team fight with a good Rumble ult and a good Sona ult. But the Quinn, not too sure about that.
This has got to be an Ezreal or a Caitlyn, if we know Piglet, because those are the things that he's playing right now. It's Corki, Vayne, Ezreal, Caitlyn are the 4 champions these guys share.
And there's this girl. Alright, now let's see the last pick.
He was playing to the crowd here. How many times do you get to show an oddball champion in front of the Staples Center?
Yeah, it's not really something you pull out in the game too when you've got such a fantastic team comp seemingly. What a RYL going with in the mid lane.
Well, there's 3 picks I can see possible. Kayle is one of them we talked about. Ahri can do decent against Zed as well. Actually has kill potential on Zed. If she snowballs slightly in the early game, get an early DFG, she might be able to kill the Zed in a 1v1. And there's always the safe pick in a Gragas. That can work in the lane, but I'm expecting a Kayle.
You gotta think it's Kayle. It's something that White's picked against Fizz. It's what we've seen Alex Each do well on.
What?
RYL is out of their minds right now. I just gotta wait. I just have to wait and see what happens.
Well, Kassadin has been successful throughout this tournament, but up against this team comp? No.
Wow.
What?
Ooh. Okay. So, if I'm SKT right now, I am 2v1ing Whites. Or just hitting him with Zed, because both of those matchups are horrendous for Kassadin, especially because SKT main weakness is the early game, but they should have an easy early game against these RYL lanes. I'm liking SKT right now.
Oh yeah, I'm definitely also for the SKT liner right now. The thing RYL has to do, like, either they have to send the Kassadin mid and simply hope that he can farm on the tower either in 2v1.
Swept OMG. If any team is going to make this composition work in the World Championships at the final, it's RYL.
All right, here we go into game 2 of our best of 5 at the World Finals. SKT takes the blue side. RYL's choice in game 2. They do go for red.
So will we see an engage? That is the question. Our RYL Club hoping that they can steal an edge maybe from that start. They do catch out on Impact. They see he was there and immediately back away. Impact not going to be able to take that ward down, but it does give them the coverage. They also have vision of Uzi down the bottom, so it seems nobody's going to go for that invade.
Very interesting to see both of these teams, as we said, over and over, just face first to each other, 5v5. Now that they will spread thin, kind of be that human line of scrimmage, and they will all know that everything is safe. This again, though, stops them from getting their scouting wards in for the 2v1 lanes.
I think overall in this game, there is a lot of importance on Lucky's Jarvan to succeed. He played so much Elise in the semifinals and didn't necessarily perform on it. He had a very poor KDA, even though he picked it in all 4 games. Jarvan was his main champion in the Chinese regional finals. And because RYL has picked what are weak early lanes, Lucky has to augment those lanes and make sure they don't fall behind SKT, because if SKT gets the slightest edge on RYL, we've seen their ability to control with wards, roam and turret dive, and just get objectives. This is extremely dangerous and important that Lucky performs.
That's a pretty big push-off right there. They won't get the pressure on the smite coming up on the spawn of blue, and they're going to have to resort to just going with an orthodox start here. So SKT, they're going to allow Lucky to get that easy jungle round.
This, of course, mean that Whites will be in that 1v1 in that mid lane. Lucky will take himself that blue buff, red buff start for Bengi. So standard stuff here in game 1. Not so standard in the picks and bans, though. We'll see how that develops as this matchup goes.
Yeah, and I am absolutely enthralled in the Faker lane against Whites, because we haven't gotten to see Faker play Zed. We've seen a couple people play Zed, but it's been banned at least 90% of the time so far in this World Championships. Doran shield start as well. I really wonder if RYL has a plan to focus, or if they're just going to ignore Faker and hope Whites can stand up to him with his Kassadin farm.
Well, RYL is considering that blue was still going to be taken. Lucky smited the blue buff, which means he's not up here in time. It took longer to get red, and Godlike's going to find a 2v1.
He's not going to catch him with the counter-strike, but he will catch the kick on him. Is it going to be enough damage? Godlike desperately running away from this one. The Ignite is burning on the turret, but he will survive.
Wow.
He covered some distance on that gank escape. I did not expect Godlike to be able to get out of that one. Bengi did the very standard red to blue buff, early gank top, and Godlike was just over-pushed. He is extremely fortunate to not die to that gank attempt.
So now the pressure is in the top lane. Bengi's going to help out a little bit here, soak up the experience, or he may try to head middle. Faker's trying to put pressure in the mid lane, and SKT as a duo putting pressure on the bottom lane here.
And Tabe taking a lot of damage, continuing to be harassed there by Mandu, and he's in a little bit of trouble. Going to be low hit points on that Sona. Faker, meanwhile, putting the pressure onto Whites, but White's still doing a good job keeping up that CS farm.
Yeah, but SKT is already invading the RYL jungle, because as we said, RYL's early lanes are extremely weak. And even though White's, he's a little too low for this.
Behind the turret, they go in. It's a 1-2 kick punch. Impact's just there to take a Polaroid.
He wanted to say hello. He wanted to be part of the gang flying through, but they had it under control. That's what happens to RYL when everyone is pushed back to their turrets. They completely lose control of their own jungle, and it means dives like that are a possibility for SKT. Great execution as well.
And the dives that RYL honestly were kind of famous for coming into this one, but it seems to have backfired on this time around. Uzi getting focused on Mandu, going to lock him up. Barrier being burned there, but now he's putting pressure back on Mandu. Piglet goes aggressive. A little too close on that turret, but unfortunately for Tabe. The snipe from Piglet, but now White's coming around the backside.
He's trying to lock it down. This was the teleport to the bottom lane. If they can pull up a double kill here, it'll be worth it for White into the ward, but he gets locked up. He's going to be forced to get the one. Lucky gets the other.
So what seemed like a bad move by Uzi was actually a bait. If he could have dodged that Mystic shot, it would have been a clean 2 for O, because Piglet and Manju were bloodthirsty going for that one. It still works out in the benefit of RYL. The teleport mid laner, a strategy, especially on Kassadin, somewhat taken from Xpeke's Kassadin, works out here for RYL.
Worked out very well. While that was all happening, Faker got himself a clean bill of health in that mid lane, is now heading towards the top lane. Godlike hasn't got flash available. He's in desperate trouble.
This is big. Coming up onto Godlike. He does not even have that energy charged up below that, or above that 50% mark. Faker hits him once. He's not level 5. A good amount of harass is going to come out of this, but I think he might squeak out one more time. Shield comes on. They're forced to back off.
22 health by that one. Godlike is fantastic at just running away very slowly from opponents because no one seems to be able to kill him in that top lane. Even so, that is more lane pressure lost for RYL, and the assault of SKT's early lanes continues.
And that could have actually bought White's a little bit of a breather in that main lane because, well, Faker was away from that line for a long time. Benki has come back in there to try and clear him out. We do see Lucky making his way around towards those raids as well. So let's see if he heads down towards the bottom. There's no wards just there. Mandu's just boarded that tri-bush.
Two quick things that are completely different in this matchup. Whites is being the first one to roam here over Faker, taking that teleport, not letting himself get in a bad spot, and also the roam here from Lucky on the Mandu. They can lock it down for the kill. It's going to be there. Tabe gets another one for himself.
It's really unfortunate that Tabe picked up that kill. They were trying to rush it before they thought a counter gank was coming from Benji, but the fact that Uzi was not the recipient of any of the turnaround gank when he baited in Piglet's Mystic Shot, and then that gank again doesn't give him gold, means he is not getting going despite all 3 kills being generated by their bottom lane.
He's keeping up in farm, which is an Ezreal, which is pretty damn good against Piglet. This top lane, Godlike, has his 2 escapes been enough to save this lane because it is working so far pretty well up against Impact. Twice he's been ganked, twice he's escaped. Is that keeping RYL in the game?
RYL needs to find a way of getting Godlike in teamfights because the only thing he's going to be doing against Jax is surviving. And I think the fact that Impact has tried to kill Godlike so many times is the main thing that's actually keeping that farm relatively close.
Those 2 attempts that Bengi created in the first game were kills on the mid lane. Godlike's done a very good job at kind of staving off the control that SKT already had by this match point. We had the Phage and the Sheen coming in already onto Piglet last game. It's definitely a different pace of game, and SKT is even playing it that way.
Rumble's roaming down, though. White's is 6, and they might be looking to make either a gank play or a dragon play on Faker.
Oh, Godlike throwing those harpoons in, keeping the flame spitter going. Faker just walks away just like Godlike did. I don't think they were quite on the same page there.
Yeah, if Godlike's going to spend all the time to roam down to this lane, he's giving Impact time to get back in the game, and RYL needs to force. I actually do have to give RYL a ton of credit. Only being 600 gold down here, even with Faker roaming around so much and trying to create action, is a huge accomplishment.
And we can see RYL with the inventories being built up here. At least the tier. Whites is looking to stack, get that team to the late game, be able to get Vayne into that hyper carry position. We'll have to see if they're putting the chess pieces in order here. 3-2 in those kills. The junglers look to only hold the lane so far for everybody. You're not really trying to get a snowball going just yet.
Godlike not really keeping that trade going even with Impact. We do see the red buff for Lucky. Lucky who hasn't, as of yet, really visited any of the lanes other than to simply stave them off. Other than that bottom lane where they got the kill again. Godlike getting jumped on by Impact. He can't leave that turret area.
And now it seems like Lucky is actually getting pulled to a lane because it's losing, which is never a position you want to be in as a jungler.
Jarvan not getting as many ganks in he was like. Impact goes hard. They throw it in the equalizer, but he has the chance to instantly walk out of it. May turn it into a 2v1 kill. He goes on a Godlike. He gets the flash. The Empower goes down, but Lucky gonna continue the chase.
Lucky might get this kill, but down the bottom lane, they're getting ready to counter this one. Bengi's gonna come in around the side. He's already caught the kick on towards Tabe. Tabe's just gonna get melted.
Wow, the execution right there from Bengi was exquisite. He landed his Q, walked into melee range, R'd him, and then got the extra execute damage from his Q. They're going to continue pushing on this one, and look out RYL. They are in big trouble turret-wise.
Faker going hard on a dive there, gets himself in a tight spot, but he will not choose to go all the way to the bottom lane. The turret is going to go down. It looks like they're going to leave it at that. Piglet getting as many minions wasted as he can before he takes down the turret.
First turret of the game. SK Telecom T1 will be taking that one down any second now. Whites, though, has got himself a good bit of clear farm. He's keeping going. He's falling behind Faker, but it's not the end of the world so far for this Kassadin. We know Kassadins can get going just like a Zed.
Yeah, his Kassadin has been doing all right, but looking at the gold right now, knowing it's close to 2,000 gold, 10 minutes in, means RYL has to find a play that stops SKT from pulling ahead of them very shortly. They are losing the top lane, Impact versus Godlike. We saw Lucky come and gank and actually give up a kill. They are losing the bottom lane because Uzi has been repetitively dove and they've lost the turret. And even though Whites is surviving, you cannot say he's winning that mid lane. If you lose every lane, you lose the game. That is almost always true. And RYL is losing every lane right now.
And they're facilitating the way to keep doing it. As Crepo has been saying on the analysis desk, the junglers are going for that mobility. They're going for being able to get in your face. We see Bengi already with the mobility boots. Like you said, he's been in the bottom lane for the 3-man gank on the 2 lane every time. They take mid turret. They go up 2-0 on that. Even on kills, 2,000 ahead on gold, as it looks like they're going to dance the dragon.
And RYL would have to find their fight here. There's SKT who's cleared out the pink wards, and running into a Zyra at Dragon Pit is extremely dangerous. Even Impact is coming down. The Dragon's getting low very quickly, and RYL's actually giving it up. This is going to really extend that gold lead for SKT. That Dragon was huge.
And they experience the gold. It is all sliding SK Telecom's way. And remember, RYL chose to start on this red side.
Yep.
This was their choice, and so far, their counter-picking has been countered by SK Telecom's start pick.
Right.
It's very strange to me how they were the side that is traditionally the side that can counterpick, yet all 3 of their lanes are weaker. They very heavily tunneled on a team composition that is around team fighting, but they have yet to be able to force those team fights or roam opportunities from Whites. It's really SK Telecom reading it and outlaning them so strongly.
You see 2 of them going for a gank on Faker in middle, but they're not going to gank the Zed. They know it right off the hand. Godlike's got some things to tend to in the top lane with the minions. It looks like everybody's going to start just getting the camps taken in an experience. See if RYL can get themselves back into a position to guard. They have 3 mid now, which is going to pressure this, which means it's only going to be Kassadin to hold the turret if they keep going. They're really not in position right now.
This bottom lane's in trouble. Look at the movement of SK Telecom. 4 members moving around the back. They're backing away already.
Yeah.
They should get out.
That's a smart recall by RYL. Knowing that SKT, that's going to stop Uzi.
Oh, just Uzi.
You're dead.
We're going to see Bengi chasing him down. The Moby boots, they're going to be coming into play. Uzi takes a few shots there. He kicks him up with the Dragon's Rage. A quick kill coming in onto Uzi for Bengi. Puts himself at 2-0-1.
There was no hope for Uzi because he did not recall as quickly as Tabe. AD carries and supports have to be in absolute synchronization with each other.
Even in backing.
At the highest level. Even in backing, because one got hit by the True Shot Barrage and that cost him his life.
We do see Faker taking away that blue buff, so the invade has come on, and the SK Telecom starting to turn the pressure, turn those screws onto RYL. RYL Club are in a little bit of a pickle right now because that top lane Impact again continues to push on there. Bengi, well, he's been creating opportunities across the map, creating that pressure. And as of yet, White's, he wants to roam, but simply he can't because SK Telecom, everywhere they're going in numbers.
Everyone on RYL is trapped right now. And let's not forget, SK Telecom was the pre-tournament favorite. And they have looked somewhat shaky in the semifinal. They lost 2 games to Naja and Black Sword and barely moved on. But right now, this is the team everyone was expecting to see. They win every lane when they're strong in that part of the game. And then they control the jungle. Look at Bengi, still taking away the red buffs. Let's see if he gets caught here. Not
Ooh, interesting. They're being so aggressive still, but somewhat staying back. We see Bengi now backing up. He knows he has the coverage from Faker. Faker also roaming a lot less, knowing that if they roam for the fight, Whites comes into the teleport, they are not in the better chance to win that. Impact takes down the top turret. They're keeping their lane steady right now.
RYL is completely out of sync. Godlike runs in that lane despite not having an equalizer, and here comes Bengi.
He just burned that equalizer, unfortunately for Bengi. The kick sent him away, and Godlike escapes again, this time not really of his own doing.
See where they go with this. White still knows he needs to stay safe in mid. He has no coverage towards his left side of the jungle, or the bottom side, I should say. Only knowing that he can hug up with Lucky, but they may still lose this top turret. Godlike doing what he can. Lucky comes up, but they are drawing the entire team now, and Faker's pushing bottom.
And Faker's going to continue in split push. He does not yet have his Blade of the Ruined King, which is really the dangerous item when you're a Zed. There's no one actually on RYL that will be able to deal with the split push of either Faker or Impact. So once again, RYL is in a similar situation that they were in Game 1, where they have to group up as 5 to try and make something happen. But by the point they can group up as 5, there are already strong split push 1v1 threats from SKT that are preventing RYL from actually grouping up as 5 and getting anything useful done.
In any other game Royal Club were playing, they would have gone for that kill. Whites and Uzi both together, catching Mandu slightly out of position alongside Piglet. 2v2. 2 carries, they would have go for that one, but it seems that nerves may well have got to RYL because they are questioning themselves.
We can see Impact even taking a different stride in this game. Blade of the Rune King actually coming out onto Jax instead of the Triforce build this time. Looking to continue these fights, make sure the objectives are even in their favor once they get to that point. Siege onto this turret, but RYL does have a bit better siege.
There it is!
Stop this time as the Crescendo goes out, and Lucky goes in!
Crescendo and Equalizer landing, but Piglet's still alive at the back there. Lucky will go down. Two-shot barrage does not land on anyone. Godlike keeping that pressure on. SKT are running away from this one. It's going to be a double kill for White.
They keep going in. Godlike's now in the fray. The Flame Spitter is shut off there. Coming in by Faker. They're looking for the cooldowns, but they're in the middle of the fight, getting torn apart. The kick back, but the hit to the face before he gets away.
Can they chase down Faker? White is going to try and cut him off with a Riftwalk, and Faker realizes it. He's going to try and turn back onto Uzi. Barriers available though. Who will get the kill? It's going to be White. Faker's going to try and finish it off, but that is a lot of kills for White. I want to.
An ace for Royal Club, and they're still down 3,000 gold. Let's consider how far behind they actually were before that fight, and how incredible it is that they were able to win that one. Once they get an edge in a fight, they can chase down. They only really caught Piglet, but look how Manju also stuck around to try and land the counter engage. That's why everyone picks Zyra. It's for the counter engage, but there was only one wave of that. Whites and Uzi get to continue the chase. Force Pulse on top of him, smacks him down, double kill straight off the bat, and then Uzi was untouched throughout all that. Since it was RYL who were the ones who picked that team fight, no one in SKT got to hit him, and he was freely chasing them down. Even with the gargantuan gold deficit, RYL came out on top in that fight, and a death cap for Whites.
And absolutely amazing too. They did it half blind. If you look at the position they're running from, those are only SKT wards. RYL did that by communication and knowing what their capabilities were. Now a dragon follows. This is what SKT was doing all last game. Kills and then an objective. Now it sways for RYL. They're still down 3,000 gold though.
You know what this reminds me of, actually, is the Fnatic vs. RYL game, except RYL swap positions. They're the team that can get kills.
Faker getting caught out here. He's going to get jumped on. Cataclysm comes out, tries to turn aggressive. It is a kill for Godlike now. They're pushing on the turret.
All 5 of them are in the mid lane, too. This is the RYL team. They just flipped a switch, and they seem to be back at it.
They have Impact in the top lane with the Blade of the Rune King. He is going to do what a Jax does and wail down on that turret, but they will pressure the mid second tier.
RYL usually does not mess around with split pushers. They usually let him go, but finally they have to pull back because they recognize the power of the split push Jax.
Jax will beat down on that turret, but the rest of RYL are closing on him. He realizes his situation is going to get out of it. No matter how quick RYL are, they will not get there to him in time. Unless they show themselves, he will cancel that teleport. No, they did. Instead, they're going to go on towards Mandu and Piglet.
Going down, they do have their... No, they do not have flashes up. They're going to get caught with whatever hits them. A good disengage from Pumandu there, and it looks like nothing will actually come of that aggression.
So things we do know is that RYL was able to win a team fight when they were down 4,000 to 5,000 gold, which means they can still win team fights if they initiate them in the right way. Piglet is running with no cleanse on Ezreal, and Whites, did he not get that blue buff?
Nope, Uzi got it.
No, it got taken by Uzi. That really hurts him since he's went with just the tier as opposed to the regular tier Catalyst Kassadin build. So the overall chase of RYL actually got fairly greatly diminished when that blue buff went away. But even so, RYL is looking to punish SKT whenever SKT appears. RYL, with the Crescendo up right now, does not want to mess around at this turret, and they may engage as soon as Tabe makes it to that fight.
We see the ability power instantly being taken into consideration coming from RYL. The buys coming out of the Hex Drinker, the Negatron, which will change into the Aegis for Bengi so he can start to help the team, because going that personal mobility boots into the Madrids, he needs to start building auras for the team, realizing that fight was lost 3,000 gold down.
So pressure being applied by SK Telecom, but good reactions from Royal Club. And, you know, we talked about the team compositions. One thing's for sure from Royal. If they start getting the edge in that team fight, they will be able to chase the entire team down. That's how that ace came about. With a Vayne and a Kassadin, you do not get away.
And something that is really interesting to me right now is both teams have very minimal ward coverage. We look at SKT. They only have a couple wards around the Dragon area, which isn't up. And then we look at RYL, and they only have a couple wards in their own red jungle. Considering how potent these team fights are, it is strange that they haven't been able to get wards. I think it's because both teams are actually too scared to get control back, knowing that there is a Kassadin on one side and a Zed on the other. If someone checks the wrong brush, especially as a lowly support in some of these games, they're dead. And it would be a huge amount of control lost back for that team.
The front end burst coming from both of these teams is definitely something we saw change SKT's mind in the last fight, but then both teams still have the constant damage as well. You have Godlike coming in with Flamespitter, Uzi, Impact to do the damage on Jax, so these teams very well rounded in their compositions. RYL closing the gold gap by just 1,000 now. It's only 2K back. 10-7 as they've gone up in kills, but still, it seems that SKT always holds the turrets in their favor and control the game consistently like that.
And Whites is on a completely glass cannon Kassadin right now. I really want to see him fight Faker because this silence can stop a lot of the damage coming out from Faker post-Deathmark, but man, that is an aggressive Kassadin build. No one builds Kassadin like this.
And actually looking at all the builds, they've all gone glass cannon. Look at Impact. He's now building towards that Trinity Force after Blade of the Rune King, haunting Guy's first item for Godlike with them Source Boots. Everybody wants to lay that damage down early on.
Looks like they could find something. The wards go down, or at least the seeds coming from Pumandu there on top of a pink ward. RYL trying to gain coverage of the top jungle, which is theirs right now as we see the 1v1 between Faker and Whites. Tit for tat in the bottom lane here. 21 minutes into the game. There wasn't much time before the end of the last one, so both of these teams looking to lock it down on the gridiron here and probably go for a next very big fight.
And it is remarkable to me that RYL was able to survive in this game. Even though they're only down 2,000 or 3,000 gold, after that early laning phase where they lost so many turrets and seemed completely desperate, they won a fight exactly when it mattered, but they still have to win many more. As we saw in the RYL vs Fnatic series, when a team is down in farm and lanes and they're losing turrets, you have to win so many fights in a row to actually get control of the game back.
Interesting burst of aggression there. You can see Faker's health dropping down. That's one combo from Whites. Just saying, yeah, I can damage you just like you can damage me. There will be big bursts of damage, and they're going to be tricky fights to catch hold of. And you can see actually the entire game, really, the brakes was put on it. 2,000 gold differential has stayed the same since RYL got that ace.
Still looking like Uzi and Whites are going to be big players in this game. Godlike is still doing what a Rumble does best. He didn't have the best time in lane. He is down 50 CS, but the equalizer still matters, and they're still in this.
There is a flash crescendo up for Tabe and a teleport on Kassadin while a split pushing Jax is there. If we know RYL, this is a chance for them to put serious pressure on a turret.
We do see Whites keeping that pressure, keeping that lane push. Faker just drove it up there. RYL looking to create a situation. They do see the Impact is sticking around in that top lane.
They have to make a decision very quickly whether they go for Impact or go for turret. And rare move here by RYL, they actually pull back against SKT.
It is super interesting. To force the fight, Impact might get the tower, but if you win that, the teleport in from Kassadin means you are going to have the higher numbers. RYL does not feel confident enough to fight that.
Well, I think they thought Whites had maybe just bought enough time to keep that bottom tower down, but we do see Faker is going to react. Mandu comes in, clears out those ward coverage of the Baron. And remember, it was a 25-minute Baron in game one that SK Telecom pulled off. That may well be the focus of these two teams, but it is so much closer this time around.
And I think one thing that is stopping RYL from their regular dive-happy gameplay is the knowledge of Pumandu Zyra and how difficult it actually is to dive turrets against them. If Whites were to get in, but get caught by the Zyra ultimate or Grasping Roots, it would just be curtains for the entire RYL team.
The blue buff now going over to Whites this time. You can see Uzi taking a sidestep on this.
They're going to try to steal this.
They will. No, it's going to be the Dragon after, so at least the True Shot Barrage is down. This is going to give them safety, but no, they find Tabe. The wards are going to be in their favor, and they've wasted quite a bit. Now to go back on Impact.
They're going back on Impact. He may be able to flash away from this one. He does, and that's going to be RYL back in away. The equalizer goes down from Godlike. A little aggressive there. Uzi coming around the side. That's going to be a force pulse coming out. SK Telecom actually forced to back away from this one. Lucky going deep.
He wants to
White still trying to get in with that Force Pulse. That is going to be down as he's waiting for it to come back up. Everybody getting quite low here. A good amount of damage taken across both teams, but it looks like they are still pressuring Dragon.
There is still a Jarvan ultimate up, and we could still see a Lee Sin kick for an engage. Lucky goes in. Where's the Jarvan ult?
There, wow, burst of damage coming straight through. Uzi getting in there on towards Faker. Faker trying to go aggressive, but he will get shut down by Uzi. They're going to keep on chasing. It's going to be Impact the next target. You can see the Counter-Strike jumps away with that Leap Strike just in time. But Piglet, he's out of of position. He's running around the back.
Still trying to get the chase in. Will he be able to pick anybody off? He has low health. RYL does have the dick. Ooh, kicked away. He doesn't get the attack that time. This time, Bengi stays alive in that situation, but they are still everyone. Oh! The Mystic shot threads it past Godlike. It's going to be the 1-for-1. Also going down. A kill coming in from White. Back and forth on the board. 13 to 11. Piglet comes up with a lone man double kill.
Absolute chaos after that one. RYL had the upper hand. Can he catch? Wide left. So that fight was RYL winning, and then RYL absolutely overcommitting. So watch the burst that went to Pumandu from White's glass cannon Kassadin, and then Faker went in for Tabe. Ill-advised because the carries of RYL are Kassadin and Vayne. They chase, but at this point, you have to stop chasing. There's a dragon up that hasn't been taken, and they did not expect Piglet to be around the back. So as they overcommit is when Piglet decided to show himself and pick up some kills in the back. The kick came right as Whites was trying to finish him off, and then as they were working on impact, Piglet ran them down from the backside. That could have just been a RYL-controlled dragon after 2 kills, but instead, it keeps the game even and actually extends SKT's gold lead ever so slightly.
So absolutely crazy, these fights. Like I said, there's a good amount of front-end burst, but there's going to be DPS to follow, and we actually saw that fight going coast to coast, now resulting in RYL's dragon. But like we said, this dragon could have happened sooner. SKT's already back to pressuring lanes, so RYL now has to adapt and react.
And you know, you were talking about the visions. They didn't have anything. RYL kept on chasing, completely blind. It's going to be Impact. They're going to jump in. Cataclysm going in there, but nobody else can get close. He may actually wreck Lucky before he can get in. Deep Strike will be available in a second. Jumps onto Bengi. Crescendo comes down. We see the Equalizer follow. Uzi's going to come in. It's a kill for Uzi.
And where do they go now? Because that's a very large damage dealer for SKT that they have taken down, but their lanes are pushed to the side, and they did burn Crescendo and Cataclysm, their 2 main forms of initiation.
Almost deja vu of the last game. This is exactly what SKT was doing, providing picks for themselves, making things happen. A true shot barrage through 3 members. That attack speed now up on the passive, but they don't use it.
And Piglet is scary right now. With the Trinity Force and the Last Whisper, he is wrecking people. That was just a couple spells from him that took Tabe completely out of that turret push. That is now a huge priority, and SKT with the Jax in their team composition is very difficult to plan for in team fights because they have 3 people you need to kill now instead of your often 2. If you look at RYL, you'd have the Rumble who puts his ultimate down and then you don't need to kill him. They need to focus on Kassadin and Vayne. But if you don't kill a Jax, a Zed, or an Ezreal, all 3 of those things become huge problems later in team fights.
And we do see the blue buff may well get invaded on SKT, pushing back up that mid lane. We see Uzi trying his best to shove out that top lane. They're still yet to get the top and bottom outer turrets. Rogue Club, while they seem to be winning these team fights, just like Fnatic, this is eerily close, they don't get the turrets down.
And I think we're just going to keep seeing these team fights again and again. And I think RYL is going to be coming out on top for a fair bit unless SKT can get a catch on someone or if Whites makes a mistake in a team fight. Because, holy crap, Whites has so much ability power in Kassadin right now. 454, and he is just blowing people up.
Piglet being a little menace there, stealing away the Wraith with his Mystic shot. They make their way back to mid. We will have the teleport still up onto Whites, not used a lot throughout the game, but at this point, with Impact being so far ahead, Faker being so far ahead, I actually think teleport's too long for that to happen.
And there's actually 2 people on SKT that are in the top lane right now, which means if we're going to see a RYL push, it's now. Tabe has Flash Crescendo, but they don't have a minion wave.
They don't have a minion wave, and you can see immediately it's Piglet being the defender, keeping them away, but this time around, RYL may pull the trigger. We do see Impact and Bengi just waiting off in the wings. They are ready and waiting for this fight. RYL realize it.
And RYL hasn't been able to pull the trigger on a fight in SKT territory. It's been too dangerous for them, and this would be a fight that they could try and do that.
You have to imagine how chaotic a fight would be. From out of the brush, you get an Impact on Jax, you get Bengi on Lee Sin, you got Faker coming in on Zed. They want all the vision they can get out of this fight. Impact getting a little aggressive there. Everybody's getting antsy.
But Tabe's flash is down for an initiation, and that's because Whites wasn't near for this one. SKT's going to take some Baron control off of this one.
Tabe taken away from that one. Oracle on Bengi may well force Godlike. He's going to get caught out. The kick comes in. Impact's going to follow on through. Godlike gets kicked back in towards him. He's going to get created. He's going to get dropped down. Equalizer was down in time. though. Uzi gets caught out. He's in trouble.
Looks like Uzi may make it out. He forces the flash, gets into the brush. He puts on the barrier. No impact gets the leap strike. They take him down though as White's coming in from the back. And Lucky tries to hit him. The crescendo
White
comes
is caught.
in.
White is in all sorts of trouble, but the Sonya's hourglass is perfectly placed. Can he get out? Force Pulse comes out. No! Piglet is there. Tabe's in trouble. He's going to go down. Piglet's tanking down the turret. And look at Piglet. Look, he's just in all sorts of trouble. He's like, what do we do? What do we do? I give a triple kill to Piglet.
A 5-for-1 by SKT because they got the fight when RYL was not ready for it. Cassidy and Sona are missing at the start of this fight, so Godlike, despite throwing down his equalizer, everyone on RYL tries to save him because RYL knows that they've actually been winning a lot of these fights previously, so they were willing to take this engagement. And as well as Uzi can kite, SKT can chase even better. Then White gets forced into over-committing here. He gets caught by a grasping roots. His entire health bar almost goes away. That's the danger of the glass cannon Cassidy. And Piglet's scary Ezreal just finishes the job while taking the turret.
We see the turret going down in the top lane and the mid lane pressured after that. A very reminiscent score of 5-1 in turrets now. 1 minute ago, the last game was finished. SKT is going to have to put a few more on this one in their eyes, but RYL still looking to thwart this off, but it still heavily sways. 6,000 gold now in favor of SKT.
Yeah, it's a big advantage once again for SK Telecom Royal Club. Resetting, having to sit back. They were the ones trying to be aggressive, and both times these teams have been aggressive, it has backfired. SK Telecom with that lead, with the kills, the towers. Royal Club just haven't got close to those turrets right now, and it doesn't look like they're going to because SK Telecom are becoming too strong.
Yeah, and RYL already came back from near death once in this game. Can they do it twice? They need another type of miracle fight where Whites can get in at the end, and specifically where RYL could catch an initiation. But because they're down 5 turrets to 1, it's so difficult for them to even think about this Baron. SKT normally just baits for kills, and right now, this is going to be a steal attempt for Lucky. Doesn't get it.
Two-Blade of the Rune Kings crushing down Baron, and then possibly a Lucky. The crescendo from the backside, but it's only to try and help. The disengage is there. Quite a bit was used just from over the wall, and that leaves RYL to have a hard defense now in the mid-turrets.
It's the turret kills that gave SKT that chance. And Lee Sin had the added benefit of timing his resonating strike with his smite to spike more Baron damage down and made it so Lucky could not steal. If you remember the Fnatic series, Lucky secured multiple what we call 50-50 Barons when it's a smite war. This time, Bengi gets it, and SKT might push hard.
Piglet and God, they don't have Crescendo available. Tabe getting caught out. Look at that. Godlike went down in a split second. Didn't even get to catch his health bar. It is going to be SK Telecom rushing straight in. That's going to be the first inhibitor of the game. And they're going to back away. White's trying to get the burst down. No, Piglet's going to follow.
Piglet trying to get into the kill. They are easily going to wipe these guys out. Piglet flashes out. The Baron buff keeping him healthy now. They're now on to Lucky. Uzi doing what he can, but it's only from the outside. Trying to make something happen. The true shot barrage misses, but it leaves Uzi limping away.
What a push there by SKT. They had the Baron buff, they knew they could take fights, and Piglet is playing out of his mind this game on Ezreal. Always going in right after Whites uses his Riftwalk on Cassidy, so he is safely trading damage back on Cassidy without the threat of assassination. This fight all started because Faker finished off Godlike, so they did not have to worry about Rumble. But specifically, watch the way Faker keeps his distance. We actually don't have time for that because Faker's going for more.
Faker gets the kill. Uzi backs the hell away from that one. Doesn't want a part of that. Piglet becoming a beast. Faker becoming a beast. SK Telecom are deadly right now.
After a game 1 loss, RYL put their eggs in the basket of we give them what they want and counter pick it. It doesn't seem to have worked for them this game.
No, there's just too much for them to come back to now, I feel. This surely is RYL resetting once again, thinking, okay, we're going to be the red side again, I believe.
No, the next game, yeah, they are the red side.
Yeah, because they chose red side this game. Yep.
How do we counter this? We don't give Faker Zed, that's for sure.
My word.
We don't give him Orianna. We don't give him Gragas. What do we give him?
This is the questions they need to be asking themselves right now, because SKT has shown a lot of proficiency here, and RYL tried their curveball in this game. I feel like the Kassadin is a big curveball from Whites. They're only, remember, they are down 11,000 gold, but I think it's the 7 turrets to 1 that are really sealing it right now for SKT because of the way they have been able to control the map. But the Whites versus Faker matchup has been extremely close in this one. It was not extremely close in the first game. And as far ahead as he got on Cassidy in this game, SKT's coordination overall and their ability to play as a team thus far have really just secured them this second victory, it seems.
The ability to keep their mentality up. In a lot of their interviews, these players said, we're really not worried about our skill. It's about the mentality throughout the game. If you can keep that up, you'll prevail. See what they can do going into this. Mandu working the oracles, making sure they have vision on the left side. You can see RYL, no wards in their jungle either. So SKT has a safe exit here if something does go wrong.
There's so much damage built up from these carriers right now that the moment someone gets remotely close, you'd see Tabe removed from the map, you'd see Uzi even just dropped before you even see that health bar going down, and they're just poking his turret. There's nothing RYL can do to defend it.
Yeah, I think we're going to see a hard engage from RYL very quickly.
There it is, straight away, Crescendo coming down, Equalizer going to follow. Impact actually taken very low, but look at that, the turnaround damage from SKT.
It looks like they're gonna continue under the turret. Bengi is the one tanking, and he gets out on a safeguard, if you will. Uzi finds a kill. No, taken from White. They continue into Pumandu. Piglet now in the eyes of RYL.
The chase is strong, Piglet's going to get caught out, but look at that. Sonya's down. Piglet gets away, and that's going to be White's in trouble. What a turnaround coming out from SK Telecom. Just as RYL thought they could chase, SK Telecom are back in control.
These fights are decided by inches right now, and small ticks of health bars. This could be the game for SKT, but no, they're blinking red. They're just trying to take more advantages, and wow, this is a RYL team not giving up without a fight.
Home guards looks like it is the saving grace here for RYL. They're able to get enough HP back into the base, and that's just godlike. The only one left up in that fight, and he was almost taken down there in the end.
Yeah, and look at how they barely went for impact, nearly just took him out of the fight, and how the turn happened. It's all about Uzi and White and how they stayed healthy. There was a QSS that got popped very early by Uzi to stop the Faker death mark, and once he was out of the picture, it was chase time for RYL. But watch, we've been talking about Piglet playing out of his mind. He waits till this moment to use the barrier, gets it with the shield as well from Lee Sin, and then since Uzi was surely dead, he had to flash away, and that was a rare miscalculation from Uzi, thinking he would finish the kill on a Piglet before he flashed away, and he was just wrong.
What a crazy, crazy engage. RYL, do not count them out. They are holding on just about. However, they only have one inhibitor turret. Both Nexus turrets do stand, and that inhibitor in the middle will be respawning shortly, but you see the timer ticking down. 1 minute 34. That Baron will be the next focus target for SK Telecom, and I'm still not sure if RYL can fight for it.
And RYL is still showing some proficiency for fighting, because even with the Baron buff in that last push, it was an extremely close fight for SKT. If Tabe gets a crescendo in the right spot, it could give them something, but knowing that there's a QSS, it makes it more dangerous. RYL doesn't care about fighting early.
The jump in from Impact to equalize, lays out the red carpet, but they're all off of it already. They've entered into the fight. RYL's health bars are just getting demolished. Uzi on the outside trying to do what he can, but it's not going to be enough. Uzi's chased into the base, and SKT wipes him for the ace. The quadra for Piglet.
Bengi stealing the quadra there, just getting the penta at the end. But it's going to be SK Telecom taking this game. Strong performance in game 2 once again. RYL put up a great fight, lots of kills back and forward. But it's SK Telecom taking game 2 in the World Finals.
It's only going to take 8 more minutes than the last game. They solidify it, and they do it just as last time.
That was a much closer affair from the first one, but really SK Telecom pulled it together after some mid-game hiccups. You really have to credit that Ezreal from Piglet making the correct